Hello and welcome back to Space Engineers. In today's video, we're looking at another very fun mod that I just highly recommend downloading it, checking out yourself instead of watching this video. So what I've got right next to me is called a spark launcher, which if you didn't recognize already, is simply the fireworks launcher, but it's slightly different this time. Ever since fireworks launcher was released in this game, it's something that I always looked at and thought that'd be so cool to have as a swarm missile, as in it just fires out a massive bombardment of missiles in all directions. Then if you lock onto a target, it'll then go and seek out that target and just deal a nice lot of damage, and that is what this mod does. So for a demonstration straight out the bat, deleting this to make sure it doesn't fire in the wrong direction, there we are. And we're going to fly down in this little ship, a very old ship called the Leapfrog, all the way inside, and now we've got this platform in the distance. With the free camera on the front, I've got two of these attached on the very front of the vehicle, and I'm simply going to left mouse button, so in 3, 2, 1, and there we are, we've still got the sound. This time, as you can see, instead of being a massive scatter shot in all directions and exploding in a lovely fireworks display, instead it homes in onto its target and will deal a nice bit of damage. The damage it does deal is not actually too much at the end of the day, because it's more reliant on having multiple missiles hitting the target, but one missile will do a fair bit of damage. And we're just following all the way across this lovely platform from the previous video. There we go. You can see I've been testing this out earlier, but now I'm just going to hold down the mouse button, let them all come across. So after a short delay, there they all go, and they're all just going through the platform. That's what it looks like, and they all just home in onto a single point. So, grab my my character. What I'm going to do very quickly is hop out of this once again. We're going to go through the cost of build, go through the ammunition, then going to find some actual space pirates, test this out, before strapping on a bunch of these onto this ship, a hell of a lot of these onto this ship, and then just firing all into them, and seeing what happens. So the fireworks launcher and hiding all the signals, here we go. Or the spark launcher even, if I place that down and press G, finding in here, there we are. So this thing is not too expensive at the end of the day. So 4 computers, 10 large steel tubes, 10 construction components, and 20 steel plates. If we come across to the fireworks launcher, plus the here, we see it's identical. So you got one for a spectacle and one for dealing damage. They come across to this very handy assembler that jams into the side of the ship, coming to production, finding the ammunition, and here it is up here. So there's the spark missile. You're going to need one hell of a lot of these, which is why it's quite cheap to build. But you see it's simply iron, nickel, silicon, cobalt, and magnesium powder. You don't need too much of them, which is jolly good stuff, because like I said, you're going to need to have a hell of a lot of these to sustain the firepower. Yes, I can just sit there like that. I'm now going to remove this, and now it's time for me to find some space pirates and actually show you this firing. So here I am down on the Earth-like planet, targeting that good old space pirate outpost that sits right next to the Earth starting base, and I'm now going to just bombard into it. But as you can see, I am just sitting just under 2.5 kilometers, because that is its maximum range. You can actually target stuff and actually fire at stuff. So here we go. I'm now going to switch over to the free camera, look at it like so, firing all the spark launchers. Then after a short delay, once it starts reloading, and there we go. We see all the beams just going all the way through it. It's dealing a nice lot of damage. And what you see there, it lost the front where the Gatling gun turret was sitting, and deformed a hell of a lot of blocks, and it looks like it was clipping all the way through. Have a look on the inside. It still seems perfectly fine on the inside. A few deformed steel blocks here and there. If I come back over to the ship, in fact, we're going to look at it like so. Firing it again. We should see the red flash any moment now. Here they come all the way across. And there we are. That's all it does. And it looks like it's going to fire again. It might not. Go do that one more time. And there we go, one shot. There's the rest of the volley. And does deal a fair bit of damage to steel blocks, but not too much to anything else. As you can see there, the hangar bay doors are still in one piece. On the inside here, target here looks like it's smoking. The conveyors are in a poorly shape. And well, that's what it does to a small outpost. And coming back over to here for good measure. Actually looking at it, firing out the launcher. So putting the camera like so. 3, 2, 1. And there we go, that's all it does. And as you can see, it does move the ship around. I'm not moving the ship at all because I'm in the free camera. It does move the ship around as it was to fire it. So if you have a much more low powered ship, which doesn't have as many thrusters around it to keep it nice and stable, maybe it will interfere with your aiming. Although at the end of the day, you don't actually have to aim with this thing. So it wants to turn around like so. You can see it will just curve around with the free camera. Wherever that base has gone, I should really be unable to lose this thing. Guess again, firing it at an angle. It should curve all the way around. And it might hit the target, it might be just out of range, it might be just going a bit too far for the actual projectiles to last, because it can only do 2.5, and doing that big curve at that range might just be putting it over the edge. Yes, you can just aim it any old direction, and it'll eventually just come around and hit the base. But anyway, yes, what I'm going to do now to actually finish off this video is strap on a bunch more of these onto the ship all the way around, an excessive amount of them. Then I'm going to head down to Space Pirate headquarters and bombard them, see what kind of damage I can deal with that. There's not too much else to actually talk about with this thing. It's very self-explanatory what it does. It's a very fun mod to use in your world. And well, as you saw, it's not too overpowered at the end of the day, because you do have to build each ammunition by itself. And it'll fire a hell of a lot in one volley, especially if you've got two of them all together. So it does kind of limit the overall power of this weapon and the damage it can deal to other things. So I'm now outside the Space Pirate District headquarters, and as you can see, I've strapped on a bunch more of these onto the ship. I didn't want to do too much because some of the weapons could potentially crash the game when you have too many of them strapped onto a ship. But no, this is what it looks like. And when I was to fire it without locking onto the target, this is something that I did fail to mention earlier, is, well, it's not actually going to track the target. You have to be locked onto it to actually deal damage. If not, it will just behave like a regular fireworks launcher. And as you can see there, that caused a lot of deforming of the terrain. And looking across to the base, well, the base seems to be in one piece. Doing that one more time, just for good measure. And, well, we see a hell of a lot of shots coming across. Not really doing too much damage. Oh, doing a lot of damage in the background there. But no, that's what happens when you don't lock onto a target. But now what I am going to do is lock onto it. Here we go. We'll take a little bit of time. 1.37 kilometers away. And in 3, 2, 1. Firing across. There we are. Massive swarm of all these missiles all the way across. And it just seems to go for wherever it feels like. There is no targeting on this thing. Let's come in here and actually find the spark launchers. There we are. There is no way to actually make it target a certain thing like weapons, power and all of that. It seems to be completely random, which is also quite a nice balancing act for this weapon. No, here we go again. Firing it all the way across. And that is the damage it deals. Yes, the frame rate is tanking quite a lot, because I did click it multiple times. Here it comes all the way across. And after a short delay, it should recover. There we are, clicking it once again. And there we are. So having that many launches on the ship, it's not actually doing too much damage at the end of the day. And well, if you was to hold down it will lag out the game quite a lot. But it does seem to be very, very effective in large numbers. Though you do have to be careful, because it might take quite some time to reload it and leave you as a sitting duck if this is the only weapon on your vehicle. Here we go, that's now reloaded. Firing it again. Massive swarm all the way around. It just auto-targets into it, don't even need to aim at it. Just comes around, slams into it, and, well, it seems to just make massive holes all the way around the base. But anyway, that is pretty much it for the spark launcher I just saw on the workshop page. Looked exactly what I wanted from the fireworks launcher when that launched all that time ago. I just highly recommend downloading it, check it out yourself, because it is a lot of fun to play around with. So there'll be a link to it in the description below to download, play around yourself. Highly recommend you do. And I'll be back with another video somewhere soon. Bye bye.